Hi everyone, happy Halloween. I'm filming this on Halloween, as you can probably tell from my orange lights. I'm feeling, festive and spooky today. My name is Emily and I have been wanting to make videos about books for a while now. And I finally have decided that I'm going to act and do that. This will be my first ever YouTube video, so bear with me. But recently I went back to my hometown to visit my family a few weeks ago, and my library had a book sale, which is always very exciting. And you could get a bag of books for, I think, $12. So I got a bunch of books here. How many is that? 8 books. But I also bought a few books as gifts for other people. So I'll show my stack here. Yay. And I thought that I would show you what I got. So all of these books were about $1 because, like I said, I got books for other people too, but this is what I found. Most of them I hadn't heard about before. I just kind of thought they looked interesting and picked them up, which is the great thing about buying used books, especially at a book sale when they're so cheap. So one of the first books that I picked up was this book here. It's called O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker. I think that's how you say her name. And this seemed really interesting to me. It's a murder mystery, it seems like, where a teenage girl is murdered in her Scottish Highlands home. And I think it's like a historical fiction kind of taking place in the Gothic time period, but it's a modern book. I think it was blurbed by Maggie O'Farrell, introduction by Maggie O'Farrell, who wrote Hamnet, and I read A Marriage Portrait by her, which was pretty good. But yeah, this was published in 1991, so maybe this was one of her inspirations, since it's a historical book. And in A Marriage Portrait, it's also about a young woman who is murdered, so I'll be interested to read about that. The next book that I picked up is this one here, Astrid and Veronika by Linda Olsson. I had not heard about this before, but it did sound pretty interesting. It's about a young writer from New Zealand who rents a house in a small village in the midst of a harsh Swedish winter. She comes alone trying to finish her latest novel, and she is neighbors with an old woman named Astrid. And I don't know if they become friends or what really happens, but this seems like it would be a cozy winter read, and maybe a little bit creepy and eerie too. It kind of seems like it might have that vibe, so we'll see, but I'm definitely excited to read this one, and a new find for me. Another book that I picked up is this book here, which has a super cool cover. It actually expands out like that, which is really cool. And it's called There Is a Country, New Fiction of a New Nation, South Sudan. And it's edited by Nyoul Tong. I should have looked up how to pronounce their name before I started this video, but I did not, so my apologies. But this seems really interesting. It's a very short book, as you can see, but it's a collection of some stories, essays, and I think I even saw a poem in here. But it is exactly what it sounds like, new fiction from a new country, South Sudan, which has, had some turmoil with civil wars and everything. And I think that the country of South Sudan was only declared as a country maybe like 10 years ago. So I'm super interested in this. I'm actually trying to read a book from every country. I just started working on that goal this year, so I started, even if I'd read a book from a country before, I'm going to read a different book from that country or reread a book. And South Sudan is one that I have not read yet. I don't know any literature from South Sudan. So I'm excited that I found this at my local library book sale. That was pretty crazy to me. So I'm excited for that. I also found Hotel World by Ali Smith. This has I saw the pink cover and I was like, this looks really cool. Booker Prize finalist. And Ali Smith, if you're not familiar, is the author of, she has a quartet of books titled After the Seasons. And I haven't read those books, but I'm interested in reading them. But this one sounded intriguing. It's about 5 people. The back says 4 are living, 3 are strangers, 2 are sisters, 1, a teenage hotel chambermaid, has fallen to her death in a dumbwaiter, but her spirit lingers in the world. So I don't know what is going to happen with this. It's obviously a little bit supernatural. I don't know if her other books are also supernatural, but this sounds like it would have actually been a really good book to read around this time of year, but that's okay. As you can tell, I do like a little bit of a murder mystery or spooky vibe to the books that I read, especially during fall. So maybe I will pick this one up soon. I also found Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I did read 100 Years of Solitude a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed that book. It's obviously a classic. I really like magical realism, so I really wanted to read 100 Years of Solitude as like one of the foundational books that is part of that genre. So I don't really know what happens in this book. I know that there's 2 people, they fall in love, but they don't end up together at the start, and then eventually they reconnect, I think. And it does mention on the back that one of the characters whiles away the years in 622 affairs, which seems a little bit surrealist to me. So we'll see. I do remember from reading 100 Years of Solitude that there were a lot of characters with the same name because it was a generational story, and I hope that that's not the case in this book, because I definitely found that confusing and tough to follow. So we'll see. It's probably not going to be a super easy read, but hopefully it's as enjoyable as his other book that I've read. So that's that one. I do have a couple of books here that are Japanese translated books that I grabbed at the sale. I really enjoy reading Japanese translated fiction. It's kind of what got me into reading translated books, and part of what inspired me to want to read a book from every country, besides the fact that, I notice I read so many books from the US, and I want to read more diverse perspectives and see what other places' literature is like. So that's one of the things that inspired me. So when I see a Japanese translated book that is even remotely interesting to me, I usually pick it up, because who knows? I will probably end up enjoying it. I have enjoyed most that I've read so far. But this one is called The Stones Cry Out, and it's by Hikaru Okuizumi. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is an award winner of the Akutagawa Prize, which is, I believe, the most prestigious literary award in Japan. And so this one is a historical fiction novel about a character who learned his first geology lesson from a soldier dying in a cave at the end of World War II. That any small pebble contains the Earth's history in its ephemeral matter. And it sounds like how he deals with the aftermath of World War II. Horrible violence visits his family, and he must face his past in order to survive the nightmares of the present. So this definitely seems like a dark and sad read, but It is pretty short, which is nice, and I have not heard of this author. It's their first book to be translated into English. I'm not sure when it was published, but I'm definitely excited to read it, and I think, you know, when I'm in the right mood, this will be a very informative book. So, and then the other one that I grabbed has a very different vibe. I really don't like this cover, but you know, you win some, you lose some. It almost made me not pick it up and grab it, but I thought that was silly, so I decided to get it anyways, because it did sound interesting to me. It's called Out, and it's a winner of Japan's Grand Prix for crime fiction, which is interesting. I have been reading some Japanese mystery books. I'm currently reading The Decagon House Murders by, actually, I have it here, Yukito Ayatsuji, and I'm a little more than halfway through. This is really good so far. It's definitely inspired by more of like a hard-boiled detective kind of book, reminiscent of Agatha Christie, and the book is inspired by And Then There Were None, and I also enjoy Agatha Christie. So, but this book, that was a tangent, but this book is a little bit different. This book, you know who committed the murder. A young woman strangles her abusive husband, and she then gets the help of her coworkers to cover up the crime. So I'm not sure what unfolds in this, but I was super intrigued by the synopsis. So I'm looking forward to this one, even though I wish I had a better cover, but that's okay. And I have one final book here, Fight Night by Miriam Toews, I believe is how you say her last name. I have heard of this author before. This is one of the books that I had actually seen and heard about before I picked it up at the book sale. So when I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna grab that. I don't really know what it's about. It seems like a relationship between a grandmother and her granddaughter, who's 9 years old. So that will be interesting hearing from a child's perspective, and this is adult fiction, so that's a bit unusual. Not that I won't enjoy it, but it's not something that I'm necessarily used to, so we'll see. I haven't read any of her other books, but I've heard good things about them, and I've heard of this author before, so I thought I would give it a shot for $1. And yeah, I believe that's everything that I got at the book sale. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you're interested in reading any of them, if you have any recommendations for fun fall reads as we're getting into November. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.